Hello, my name is Anthony Wall. There's a Judge Napolitano who used to work for Fox News. Fox News will not communicate with me. They're hiding abuses of kids. They forced the principal sex offender, who's also involved with medical offenders of their kids who are involved with it. And they're involved with the Intelligence Act and next to Fox Connecticut News. There's a Paul Zano who sought me out to make a fake exception of knowing me. He's recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed with Trinity College Intelligence with my neighbors named Ray Kalal, Intelligence Next on Zion Street through time. And they're educators. They're putting fake ties, fake natures of ties to me in databases with people from off campuses. And then they use the sense and sensibilities later. People only can speak fake because they're just repeating fake things intelligence told them. They're refusing to identify themselves with the Britain Superior Court. Also with Facebook people who are personally involved with their ad placements too. Personally and professionally through administrations, Facebook has roles with World Trade Center predicate acts and other, treasonous things. With the FBI director, Robert Luskin, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, James Comey also has syntax involved and nature recorded involved as criminal insidiousness. I am not a lawyer, thank God, black pupils. It is time. We're going to address the black people, the predicate acts with facts method that we have means to discern, even though we're not lawyers, and where and how we could discern the names of the people of sciences. There's a recorded Central Connecticut State University also has the Paul Zano recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. They took pictures near me to make it look like we communicated there. In other words, and he repeated the word Jew to my neighbor Ray Kalal, involved with multiple police departments and religious spots and religious nutbags with some sexual and medical offenders. These are not legitimate roles, inter-services with the intelligence community, on off the corrections offices and the judicial branch offices with the Kalal, DeMorrow, and the people tied to them, all along Route 3 and its conjunctions. A Kerr family also confessed, recorded, demonstrated, confirmed. People all along Route 3 have federal evidences crimes with them with the Britain Superior Court. And more proven child abusers, leaders of kids years apart. And their victims involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, only capable of repeating other people's things and valuing how they have secrets and want to have privacy. They're lying about whether they're using truth for lies, pretend they want privacy. They're putting fake ties to me in the news. They put fake ties to me at the corner of Highcrest Street, at the corners on Highcrest Street too, with the principal upskirt nature. They have Russians and Americans involved with them too, with the Ukraine and their doctors. A whole bunch of people with the houses and businesses next to Hartford Hospital have overt criminal enterprises and private ones with people from other areas with this Ray Kalal and Joe DeMorrow and their roles with the Wethersfield Police since they were kids, putting fake ties, fake nature ties to me, falsified police reports roles. Police faked conversations with me at the police station when I was a kid, now as an adult. They have two Mendez police involved also with their educators involved with this. And I don't know the Eric Olson and Matt Olson, they'll tell you this. I never saw them on my campus in my life. I saw one of them real quick on a campus in my life. There are connections between people who are having people say fake exceptions that are involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, people I never know words with, including former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with them on a 2006 district court case in New Haven, in Connecticut, involved with a bunch of people, like with a Brian Silver too, involved with and a Leahy family, forged fake conversations with me. Has rules with forging other names with a whole bunch of different countries involved with this Brendan Leahy and a whole bunch of people at the Britain Superior Court, even the names of their positions with the court. It's recorded too. They recorded the British Street method showed them how it can be observed, where and how they show you recorded and make examples of things. They're leaving out what's really recorded actually. They're self-valuing sequence shifts. They've been fishing with all sides of cases and hiding what's actually before. They have collusions with all sides of cases and the courts at the same time, and people seating the juries, the same ones involve all kind of wire and mail crime roles. You guys are going to learn how everything works now because it's recorded and they're confessing it while they're pretending other. But you have to follow mandated law to have this discerned. Fox Connecticut News. I have no phone. They won't. They're so they cover. So they put fake. They're hiding. They have fake transcripts rolls, wire crime acts and methods that also involve the telephones, changing and faking what's recorded. Otherwise, they would have reported right and fixed the fake news. They have been spreading lies throughout the country with that woman. She's also involved with the FBI, even if she's a criminal. In other words. They demonstrated there's a Sullivan woman, and there's reports of a kid that started a fire in his house, and then the fire department came. A bunch of the fire departments and names next to them, like there's people and places in West Hartford, with a bunch of people tied to the West Farms Mall, tied to the names Scalora, and DeMoro had roles at the World Trade Center attack with former director of the FBI Robert Luskin. And increasingly people with Saudis that I don't know the names of all the Saudis. And they forced my Saudi friend to record it at the Wethersfield police station, which actually recorded. I had no conversation with one officer, not one word of a conversation with them there. Stole a sentence I said to my Saudi friend. And these are increasingly people that knew her before I knew her. And I didn't know that. And increasingly, Wethersfield police confessed they're going to pretend other, but there's a Scalora family they confessed involved with them with federal evidences, crimes on my street, and predicate acts, and officers who have been switching and forging names roles with courts doing that too. Increasingly, people tied to a Klotz family and their neighbors have roles with some police forms and Marines involved with sexual and medical offenders of kids, and people in my 6th grade class involved with the corrections offices. With the Michelle Sandquist, further involved with WTNH, also with the FBI, and names next to their location, next to Fox Connecticut News, also with the Thaddeus Grabowski, some Mendez police, also with the Wethersfield Police Station, and the Britain Superior Court roles with sexual and medical offenders of kids, including people seating juries there, including all sides of criminal and civil cases, and courts putting sequence shifts at the same time, preventing people's voices, pretending it, trying to blame it on the algorithm. You're the guys, the ones that are not following mandated law. And you're lying to the law to the international companies. Like YouTube, there's a Joshua Julian also recorded a bunch of ways involved that with a principal upskirt nature on Facebook, and he was forcing that on the Facebook page of his campus. And further, there's a Michael Emmett with wire and mail crimes, identity theft, fraud, slanders, all kinds of federal evidences crimes, child abuses. These same names involved with it were at the elderly homes too. No, don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong, because there's more involved. There's the veterans homes too. Increasingly, people in places tied to a Jonathan Maiano, and that name Maiano, they sought me out too. In other words, Maiano, saw me out, and then they tried to make fake exceptions with the Paul Zano. He's involved with sequence shifts with him. I did not know John Maiano until my grade graduated. And the only reason I stayed back, that woman's also recorded a number of ways involved with Washington, D.C. and with the World Trade Center. And a bunch of people on all sides of criminal and civil cases and the courts planting evidences and databases, inter-campuses and intra-campuses, and with Central Connecticut State University involved with Wethersfield campuses through time. A bunch of the people tied to a Mike Pandolf and his family members and their neighbors have roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders, with the FBI putting identity theft, fraud, slanders against me, and with as their conjunctions to Route 175 from the Old Town locations, the founding locations in Old Wethersfield. Not by accident, they are still communicating. They have Webb House, now renamed the Webb Stevens Museum. And they still have other communicated for our founders than they asked us to have communicated for themselves. They declassified this, and Nature does too. Nature itself shows us they did not have free speech, and everyone had to pretend other to an extent, otherwise be censored. There was a method to it. The word algorithm, there are proofs that it came from before. Boolean logic. In other words, everyone's half victim, half hyper, half half victim predator, part hyper victim, part hyper victim predator, blaming on other things, others ourselves. What had sickly non-distinctly, had sickly distinctly, but non-distinctly too. Slavery entrenched, for example, northern colonies and southern colonies. When you guys bring up such serious subjects, you value exceptions and exception nature used to get over on how nature's using it with such serious subjects. You would have gotten it right had you not done that. You guys are all, in other words, anyone can play a punk game and this hell will leave it to the courts. The courts are collusion. Increasingly with the state judicial branch offices of Connecticut is involved with the World Trade Center attack. And with Interbranch refusing to identify themselves legitimately. They're trying to cover it up. They can't put that on paper because they already recorded themselves how they use all natures of investigators, where are used remotely, criminally, foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw, and how motivated to it was and is recorded too. And our founders communicated that James Madison's plan would cause the Declaration of Independence, will cause that which caused the Constitutional Convention and the Civil Wars. That's demonstrable. Nature itself too shows us that. You guys can't get that right. You can't get the Civil War right. You can't get any war right. That's why you have people with Afghan leaders and kids and military, intermilitary. You're leaking. I have a Paul Kelly involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders with me, against me, with people all along Jordan Lane, all along Two-Route Highway, all along Route 175 from the founding locations, and the roads and things and people conjunctive to the state corrections offices and to the state judicial branch offices, like all along Route 3. I don't even know all their names. I know there's one of the ones confessed. There are the extended family members of probate court judges and people that involved with foreign and domestic medical families at mental health locations, involved with probate court judges with that, and their roles with uses of drugs and medicines and time impositions and torture impositions, plus all kinds of evil with the people who are the only people there to help, the elderly, all kinds of evil. And if you want to make guilt, leaving out the breaching method, you're going to get it wrong. Because these are also people that never had a chance in life, too, because of the breaching method. You guys need to follow mandated law and everything will come out right. Don't make it worse. So get me off the fake conversations with the Mendez police at the New Britain Superior Court, tied to their roles at the Wethersfield Police Station. I never had a word of conversation in my life with the older Mendez brother. These are people involved through time, trying to make fake exceptions of people knowing each other. That's why Paul Zano demonstrated to me. He has all kinds. The only words I ever heard him say was Jew, basically. In other words, I never had a class with him. People that my educators were trying to put fake ties, fake nature ties. They have all kinds of federal evidence crimes and roles of proven child abusers, leaders of kids, forced, tied to people all along Route 3 and people with this name Zano, who are involved further with a Phil Colo and a whole bunch of people tied to him on my street that I don't know their names of from other areas. They're planting evidences here with the houses involved with multiple police departments named Smith and Colo, also with foreign and domestic military and people involved with the World Trade Center in New York. Yeah, in other words, a bunch of fakes speak for what causes negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures in New York City, black pupils. Tell me the name of who disbelieves. Get them on paper, one name in sequence. Why do I have to beg to get a response? I was in the Ninth Circuit Court as an observer right next to the World Trade Center towers. Cowards. Don't be a coward if you see this. Is it too long? I'll put it short. Make some short ones about this. Get me a response. Judge Napolitano, get them on paper, one name in sequence. I want a response for the confessions and demonstrations the Britain Superior Court made. That's why they fear to God to get on paper now, and they should. But they should also fear to God not to. Get them on paper, Judge Napolitano. They have your Facebook page, therefore your sense and sensibilities before and after you were with Fox News. You always have obligations, too, with foreign and domestic police forums. Oh, well, they got all these moderators. They're involved with worse than criminally incompetent too. And they confess and demonstrate once someone's from Pakistan, then he changed his name to Indian. In other words, people that are involved with a Wally that I never had a conversation with too, he'll tell you this, I'm sure, at mobile gas station went out of their way to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm. They have a whole bunch of people tied to the Dillon family and police forms and intelligence at that corner, Town Line Drive and Saustine Highway. Same ones involved with predicate acts on my street, home break-ins years apart, where the police had roles with that, and the police forms. Increasingly, people with Whiting Forensics and state police, also with the O'Brien and Kalal with the different police departments, and people with from state police from other people with the name Mike Roberts and Eric Jensen will tell you too, and Kevin Carone and a Jamie Carone. Increasingly, educators and people associated with a Perone family and a Violet family recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed them with sexual circles and involved with mayors trying to make it look like they're apparently they were making it look like they know me by time and where I was going to be, like tricking me to be there, and they take a picture of me at the park with them. That exception is in demonstration of the same thing, and even better. In other words, these are people also with the sides of the parks. Anna Joe Aiello is on Facebook with them, with sexual and medical offenders years apart, tight. And he's one of the ones next to Hartford Hospital involved with federal evidences crimes, medicines crimes with them, all kinds of healthcare crimes, all kinds of scams, more scams at Hartford Hospital with a couple dozen people than there are streets in Hartford and Wethersfield. And they're talking about people needing money. There's a difference between money and resources. You take a look. No, they're just pretending. They're also delusions raw with black pupils because they came through scam campuses A through Z. The only voices you are allowed to hear. Box sings. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. Focus on those principal things, black pupils. Let me teach you about black principles. Who disbelieves? You guys fail to speak for everything principle of American history properly. And our founders communicated for us to understand James Madison singular as that one person as our founder. And we have to understand they didn't have free speech. They declassified this. Nature itself does. Who disbelieves? They tried to pretend other. In other words, where is it written? Get down. Get that known too. That they have these things restricted. They ain't stole my book. But you guys know that's recorded. You guys know that James Madison, our founders, plural, directed us to refer to his plan that they were using to force the other founders, the other colonists, and the other Native Americans. And I say other because they are C president / chief and nature itself. But also there were plural founders behind James Madison and his plan. And again, they directed us to understand that as him. But then they went and got George Washington to agree to help them and to use that plan. And that was before James Madison was a president. And even when he was president, he still didn't have free speech. We're supposed to have this understood clear. It's not because people didn't do their homework. It's because people did their homework reading through criminally foreign, tactically, distinctly criminally foreign influence, fact, human nature, class. We're going to get American history talk. Prepare. Please get World Trade Center on paper, one name and sequence. Fear God for the lawyers involved too. Get those coward lawyers with the victims of the World Trade Center attack on paper with the security of the World Trade Center now, black pupils, and a response to the court. Interstates now too. Judge Napolitano. These are people with your Facebook page involved. These are predicate acts, wire crime methods, mail crime methods, wire crime methods that even involve faking transcripts with the family. See, we're going to examine this. John Mayan will tell you this. Otherwise, he's lying too about the sequence shifts and about where he lives and the people associated him planting evidences with these Kalal people. And you're to get them on paper with the Hartford Hospital. Also recorded by and confessed by Rixie and Faglione involved with this Leahy family with sexual. This Leahy family put me in fake conversations with them, Judge Napolitano. Don't let them pretend they were my doctor. Get them on paper, one name and sequence with the judges tied to them, and this Brian Silver with the various courts like New Britain Superior court and the Connecticut District Court involved with this Brian Silver too, and a bunch of people with the sexual and medical offenders with the interbranch individual group too, predicate acts methods group too. Not even the lawyer. We're going to delineate the delusions from the criminally foreign influence, factory of nature, quality aspects of nature. And you guys came through these campuses each. I'm going to heal your soul who disbelieve. Please do what's right. Get this heard and get me the name of who disbelieves. Get me the name. Get them on paper. They won't get on paper because they faked it too long.